Hola, minasan! Welcome back for another round of tabletop unboxing. How y'all doing today? Are you having a happy Halloween? Happy Halloween! Happy Halloween! It's Halloween night. As you can see my elaborate setup of just one item. And today we're going to open up this intriguingly looking horror game that I got from one of those cardboard, one of those little box. I forgot what they call those cardboard box, where they put it's like a little stuff stocking stuffer kind of thing, but they put it all in the box. Goes to charity. I forgot the name of it, but this was one of four games that I got in that box. It's called Arkham Ritual by Ninja Star. There we go. By Ninja Star. It's some kind of I guess it's a deduction game. It's some kind of deduction game. It's for 3 to 7 players or something like that. I'm not very big with three or more games that require three or more players because of the fact that well, I don't have 3 players. I don't have more than 3 players to work with. However, I do need to bring this close so that way you can see my face when I crack it open. There we go. And there we are. Good. Good. Here we go. That's fine. So I'm not gonna take long on this. We're gonna go and get cracking with Arkham Ritual. Let's swing you over. There we go. There we go. So let's rip this open. Don't tell me I have to get the scissors. Uh-oh. We must get the scissors. Why you no like me? Plastic. Plastic no like me. There we go. Alright. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. Well, that was easy. Let's see what's in here. Huh. There we go. Perfect. Alright. Oh, this is actually lovely. Look at this beautiful little baggie here. Nice plastic. Look how nice and smooth that is. It's very lovely. Very, very amazing. Crafted plastic baggie. Let's see here. This looks like a playmat. So we got ourselves a playmat. One side is blue and one side is red, as you can see here. There seems to be 5 slots. And this here. This seems to be the rules. Huh, interesting. It's one of those games where you put the card up on the top of your head here. But one of the things that I noticed is that they did make it in the form of a booklet. It looks like... Okay, this is the game flow. So what's this here? Oh, continues on, huh? It shouldn't be in 2 separate Yeah, this should have been in a booklet form. It shouldn't have been like this. So your game overview starts here, and then it flips over to here, and then it continues on a separate sheet here, and then it flips over like this. That's not good. I'll be honest with you. It's very easy to get confused and lose track of what you're reading. This should have been put in a booklet form, or they should have all been put into a single sheet of paper, folded, in this manner. And then it continues on for a third one. Are you serious? So there's a third one here. You can easily lose the rules to this. So here's the third one. So you have 3 pages separated, giving you the rules, and this seems like a lot for rules. That's not good though. Now, next up, we got tokens here in the form of brains. Got these brain tokens. Look at how brainy they are. Brains. Front and back. There's 2 of these cardboards. And then we have this here with the active player. It looks like Cthulhu. Some kind of Cthulhu thing going here. Whenever you see a squid, chances are it's a Cthulhu thing. And now we have the cards, which is a very short stack here. The grimoire. The grimoire. Let's get a look at these cards here. So we got the baggie for the tokens, which is very nice and convenient. In Arkham Ritual, you only have 1 card in your hand, but you cannot see the card you are holding. Instead, you only see everyone else's cards. Players draw cards from the deck and pass them around by looking at the other player's cards and the discarded cards. You need to figure out what you're holding. If you have the right card at the end of the round, you will survive the ritual. However, if you have the wrong card, the ritual will consume you. You'll go insane. Test your luck, outsmart your friends, deduce your cards. Will you be able to investigate the ritual and escape from it alive? Game designer Hiroki Kasawa. Developer Yuri Kunde and John Smith's Coffin. And illustrator Emily Ling. Okay, so we're going to see what this artwork looks like. Let's see here. If I can get this to open. Oh, here it is. On the side? Yep. It's on the side here. There we go. There we go. Okay. And this tells you the character cards here. It's there's 4 for there's 7 for each player apparently. Yep. So each player gets to have one of these cards here. Character cards. Each of these triggers special effects when held by a player at the end of a round. The player holding this card gain 1 sanity marker up to a maximum of 7 if they survive the ritual. Wary student. The player holding this card never survives the ritual, but they only ever lose 1 sanity marker. Cultist. The rules for surviving the ritual have changed. Oh, so this is an updated version. See section 7.2 for more details. Math Professor. In addition to the normal rules in section 7.1, all players holding anything other than an artifact do not survive the ritual. Great Old One cards. The round ends immediately if any player is holding the Great Old One when a gate is discarded. Skip the normal end of a round and resolve the Great Old One card described in 10-4. Then on the other side, there's the event cards. Each of these trigger special effects when they are discarded during the player's turn. Elder Sign. The round ends immediately when this is discarded. Gate. If a player is holding a Great Old One when this is discarded, then their effect is immediately resolved. Magical Orb. The player who discarded this looks at the top card of the deck. Then they have the choice of either returning the card to the top of the deck or moving it from the game face down. And there's the Shining Trapezohedron. The player who discarded this looks at the top card of the deck. It is a sane card, then gain 1 sanity marker, up to a maximum of 7. Otherwise, lose 1 sanity marker. This loss may also cause the game to end immediately if the player has no remaining sanity markers. Alright, so let's get a look at these cards here. Okay, we got the Grimoire. The Grimoire. A Grimoire. You know, all fancy word sounding. Then we have the Candelabra. Ritual Dagger. Ancient Key. We have the Ancient Key. Pocket Watch. We have the Pocket Watch here. Another so that's the red version. So we have the blue version of the same cards that we just walked through. Here we go. The blue Grimoire, Candelabra, Ritual Dagger, Ancient Key, Pocket Watch. Oddly enough, there's 2 that are blue. Do they have ones in red? Looks like they don't. Candelabra, Ritual Dagger, Ancient Key, and Pocket Watch. So now here we have the Cultist. Here's the Cultist card. We have the Investigator. We have the Elder Sign. We have the Gate. And we have another Gate. Magical Orb. And here's the Man of the Hour, Cthulhu. Told you there was going to be a Cthulhu involved. Mad Professor. Wary Student. Shining Trapezohedron. Haystor. Nyarlathotep. Unpronounceable words here. Yog-Sothoth. So basically this is Lovecraftian inspired game. Interesting. Alright, so let's see how this setup works. I might not have enough space to set it all up, but let's see here. We got 15 cards, 15 artifacts, 5 events, 4 characters, 4 great old ones, 30 sanity tokens, 1 denominations, and 3 okay, I see the numbers there. You won't be able to see the numbers, but the purple ones have the number 3 on it, and the ones that don't have numbers on it are 1 sanities. Okay. So you have the card type symbol. This is a great old one card. Whereas this symbol is the artifact card. You also have the event card and the character card. Mm. Let's see here. Let's see if I can find the others. Alright, here's the event card. Where's the characters at? Ah, and here's the character right here. The character card. Okay. So those are your 4 types of cards. You have the name, the cursed artifact card symbol. Cursed is red card, so if it's red, it's cursed. And they'll have the Cthulhu symbol on it. So these red cards that we saw at the start are cursed. That's why there's more blue than red, because these are the cursed cards. Okay. Saint cards have a blue background. Cursed cards have a red background. Got it. Then you have a Doom track board. Got it. So here's the Doom track board. It's numbered 1 through 5. You have the active player. What do you mean by 1 each? 1 for each player? Because this is all I got, is just this. That's it. So each player would take 7 sanity markers from the supply. Keep them visible to all players. Take 22 cards not marked with the this symbol here. And then the remaining tokens and cards are returned to the box. Unfortunately, this is going to be a little tough for me to be able to see what a turn looks like, because this requires 3 people. But you do have this whole deck here, which is shuffled up. But we'll just shuffle it up a little bit. Not too much, but we're going to shuffle it up a little bit. And that's all you're going to see on the board, aside from your sanity tokens, which you would put on the side, which you would put before yourself. Let's see here. What goes where? So we would take 7 of these and put it before us. But this doesn't seem like a lot for up to 7 players. I feel like this is lacking in material here, because this is up to 7 players according to the thing here. In fact, what are you supposed to do with the tokens? And this is the play sheet, this here, which goes to the center of the table. Hmm. 30 sanity markers? Am I missing something here? Oh, you know what? Given the thickness... Yeah, let me see. No, I thought these were these would separate if I pluck them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah. Okay, so there are 30 sanity markers. Alright. But therein lies the problem, because there are 16 one denomination sanity markers and 14 3 point sanity markers. So they don't. So they're not explaining if this is something that's visible, public knowledge, to prevent people from just taking the single ones, the single sanities, and avoid the three, or vice versa. I think that's not good. Sort of like how Lucidity came with a Teflon bag, so that way you wouldn't see the dice. They didn't provide that, and they're not explaining very clearly how many amongst the markers you're supposed to take. Like, you're supposed to take 6 of these, or is there some kind of combination? So that's not really good with the rule book. It just says after all the players get their thing, put the rest away. It's probably going to be explained later, maybe later down the rule book, but that should really be in the game setup right off the bat. So basically, 22 cards not marked with that one specific symbol, huh? Let's see. Oh, those must be, well, no, they're not the curse cards. Okay, they're the character cards, I see. Here we go. Take 22 cards not marked with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So here's 22. So these are the 22 cards that doesn't have this particular symbol here. Alright. They have their own set of rules. There we go. So we'll put those to the side there. Let's get the rest of these tokens. Yeah, so they're not explaining how each player takes a sanity marker, if it's random or anything. They're just saying take it, but you have 2 different sets of numbers here, 3 and 1. So it's like not very. I don't think that they didn't cover that very well. So if they did put it later on in the instruction booklet, which I'm hoping I'll find, that's a poor place to put it. Not a good place. Because that should be in the setup section, no matter what. Player totem, so people know who's active. Cthulhu, most likely whoever becomes loyal to Cthulhu. Let's see here. There's a lot to this. Yeah, I hate to say this. This is way too much. For a game that seems simple, the whole turn flow looks a bit much here. The game is played over a course of multiple rounds. Each round consists of multiple turns. At the end of each turn, players check if the round is over. If it is not, then the round continues. If the round is over, then players compare their hand and determine whether they lost sanity. The new rounds continue. If the round is over, then the players compare their hand to determine whether they lost sanity. Then new rounds continue until one or more players have lost all their sanity. End of round setup. Player's turn. Active player's action, follower's action, end of turn. Did round end? No, then repeat the active player's action. At the round end, then you go to the end of round step. Perform this step once before each round. Shuffle all 22 cards and deal 1 card to each player face down. The remaining cards become the deck and are placed in the center of the play area. Alright. Each player then takes the card, the dealt card, and holds it so that other players can see the face of the card. In other words, you only see everyone else's card. So as you can see here in the example, we're going to be holding it up like this. It'll be like that. Or if you have like something to stick it on there. It's one of those type of games. I'm not a big fan of those type of games, quite honestly. But it's a party game. Basically, that's what this is. Not bad for a Halloween, too. For a Halloween party game. You know, if you had a Halloween party. Choosing the initial active player. If this is the first round of the game, the player who understands the game rule the most becomes the active player. Choose randomly if everyone has an equal understanding of the game rules. If this is not the first round of the game, the player with the lowest sanity becomes the active player. In the case of a tie, so in the first round, player 1 is the one who understands the game the most. Each following round is the player with the least number of sanity, which makes sense because they'll be behind everybody instead of in the lead. The active player takes the deck and places it in front of them. The round is now ready to begin. Player turns. In a round, there are multiple player turns. Each turn begins with the active player's action. At the end of each turn, the active player is determined and a new turn begins. Like I said, this is a lot for a game for a party game. Okay. Active player's action. The active player announces the beginning of a turn. All players place one of their hands on the table. These players are referred to as the followers. The active player draws the top card of the deck and secretly looks at the face of the card. No other player may look at the face of the card. The active player passes the card face down. So with this card up, this card, I could get to look at it, then put it down, and then pass it over to the next player. Cannot be kept, no matter what. You can't keep the card that you draw. Then the follower that receives the card has to choose, has to take their hand off the table, and the player then decides, without looking at the card, to take the card or pass it. So basically, the card gets passed around. If the player decides to take the card, then they discard the card they're currently holding face up. So this goes to the discard pile, and then I would replace it with this card. I don't know what it is, but that's why I'm trying to not look at it. Okay. The discarded card gets placed face up. So here's the discard pile. It turned out to be the investigator. I don't know if you could see that. Here, I'll put that over there. There we go. So that's the. You don't have to do like the illustration put on your forehead. If it's an artifact card, then place it on the play sheet at the designated. Otherwise, place it next to the play sheet, visible to all players. So since that was the investigator, it gets instead of being put on this sheet here, on this sheet, it instead gets put next to the sheet outside of it. Take the new card and without looking at it, hold it up like this. If the discard card is an event card, then resolve with special effect. For more details on the event card, look at 10-2. Always remind yourself not to look at the card when passing or taking it into hand. The player does not wish to take the card, then without looking, pass it to another player. If all the players pass the card without taking it, in other words, there are no players with their hands still on the table, then the card is discarded without triggering its effect and the round ends. So that's how you end the round. If everybody passes up on the card and keeps what they got, then they end the round and reset the whole thing. End of a turn. At the end of each turn, before proceeding to the next round, check if the round is over. All players have passed the card. Special effect of an event card. There are no cards left in the deck. If the round is over, proceed to end of round. Otherwise, prepare for the next turn. The active player passes the deck to the first player clockwise, who still has their hand on the table. If no player has their hand on the table, then pass the deck to the first player to the left. The player who received the deck is the new active player. The new active player announces. Oh, that's a little wordy. That's throwing me off there. So part of the whole thing is to make sure is your hand. So long as your hand is on the table, there's still activity that can be done. But once all hands are removed, then that's when activity ends. Basically, the round will come to an end. Apparently. Well, no, the end of the turn. I think I got that wrong. Comment below and let me know if I said that correctly. If I got that right. The player who received the deck is the new active player. The new active player announces the end of the turn. All players take their hands off the table. Okay. And then you go back to 6-1, active player's action to start a new turn. Alright, there you go. So the active player, it's not when the hands are off the table, it's the active player, the new active player that has to reset the turn and start it over again. Alright. Then the round, end of the round, all players reveal their cards. Each player compares the card they were holding with the cards other players were holding to see if they successfully survived the ritual. If you successfully survived the ritual, then you keep your sanity. If you did not, then you lose your sanity, which is the tokens. Alright, so let's see. What did I get? I got blue. Elder sign. Okay. So when I dropped the investigator, I ended up with a blue elder sign. So I'm saying you survive the ritual if you have a same blue card and if you have an artifact card and no other players have the same artifact card regardless of the colors. Now, how's that possible when you're giving up your hand? You know, saying you only have one card. In other words, you do not survive the ritual if you have a cursed red card or you have the same artifact card as another player, regardless of the card's color. And apparently there's an exception to the rule. The cultist. If any player has the cultist card at the end of the round, then the rules mentioned in 7-1 are changed as follows. You successfully survive the ritual if you have a cursed red card and if you have an artifact card and no other players have the same artifact card regardless of the card's color. In other words, you do not survive the ritual if you have a same blue card or if you have the same artifact card as another player regardless of the card's color. The cultist itself is the same blue card, so the holder is guaranteed to not survive the ritual. So everything reverses. Got it. If the cultist ends up in play, then the win conditions reverse. Rather than surviving the ritual with the same blue card, you have to survive the ritual with the cursed red card if the cultist comes into play. So they flip. So red and blue switches the roles. If you do not survive the ritual, then you lose sanity. Mark the loss of your sanity by Sanity markers. All players that do not survive the ritual discard sanity cards equal to the number of players that do not survive. So if two players don't survive, then two players, then each of those two players will lose 2 sanity markers. Additional rounds are played until one or more players have lost all their sanity markers. If all players have one or more sanity markers, then start the next round by going back to the round step. If one or more players have no sanity markers left, then the game is over. Okay, so one or more players. All players who have one or more sanity markers left successfully survive the ritual. They are all winners of the game. I see. Okay, if you prefer a more competitive game, then you may change the rule above to the winner with the most sanity markers left is the winner. In case of a tie, all tie players share the victory. Yeah, I think that sounds much better. It's a tie. Everybody wins. And this here explains what got some FAQs. So so it's only a 6-step. It's only a 7-step program here. It's only 7 steps, and it's not as bad as it looks. It's very intimidating the way that they have the this whole entire rule sheet set up, especially because it's separate sheets rather than a booklet. But I'm still a little perplexed about the artifact card because it's saying and. Meaning that you gotta have 2 cards, but you're giving up a card. You're not exactly keeping one. And they got some alternative cards set up. While Arkham Ritual comes with 28 cards, only 22 are ever used at once. During a game setup, players may decide to exchange some of the base cards with cards bearing the mountain symbol. I guess that's the mountain symbol. Detailed card descriptions. You have the artifact cards, 15. 2 sane blue cards and 1 cursed red card. There are 5 different artifacts. None of these cards have any special effect. Event cards. These cards trigger special effect. Elder sign. The round ends immediately when this card is discarded. So you have to read that off the rule book because that won't mean anything because there's no explanation. I don't know if that's a good idea to not have that explanation on here. And the gate. If a player is holding a Great Old One, when this is discarded, then their effect is immediately resolved. If no one has a Great Old One, then nothing happens. The 2 gate cards are not considered the same card when determining whether the player survives or not. Okay, that's good. Add one of the following to your deck: Magical Orb or Shining Trapezohedron. Magical Orb. The player discarded this looks at the top of the card of the deck. Then they have the choice of either returning the card to the top of the deck or moving it from the game face down. Shining Trapezohedron. The player who discarded this looks at the top card of the deck. If it is a sane card, then gain 1 sanity marker, up to a maximum of 7. Otherwise, lose 1 sanity marker. This loss may also cause the game to end immediately if the player has no remaining sanity markers. So be very careful when doing that. Character cards, 2 in a deck. Each of these trigger special effects when held by player at the end of the round, except when the round ended by the effect of a Great Old One card. All of these are sane blue cards. Okay. So Mad Professor and Cultist are sane cards. Investigator. Add one of these to your deck. Investigator or wary student, and so you can't put all 4 of them in the deck. Investigator, wary student, cultist, and mad professor. They can't go into the deck. However, you can't put investigator and wary student into the same deck, and you can't put Cultist and Mad Professor into the same deck. You're only allowed 2 of them, but you can only have a combination. So you gotta have Investigator Cultist or Investigator Mad Professor, or Rare Student Cultist or Rare Student Mad Professor. That's the only combinations you're allowed to have in the deck. And the Great Old Ones, you can only have 1 in the deck. And the round ends immediately if any player is holding a Great Old One card when a gate is discarded. Okay. So you choose Cthulhu, Nyarlathotep, Yog-Sothoth, or Hastur. So whichever one of those you pick, you can only have one of those in the deck. Alright. Alright. And they got their own unique abilities. Cthulhu is straightforward though. All other players lose sanity markers equal to the number of players -1. Okay. Okay, so table talking during the game is encouraged. However, there are a few restrictions. Players may not say the exact card or the color of the card another players are holding. Players may not reveal the face down card being passed around or say what that card is. Otherwise, you're free to say anything else. So yeah, there's a lot of manipulation going on. And this little Doom track, which I'm assuming then is what this token is for. This is a mini expansion, as they call it, and it sits on here like so. Got it. And you go in numerical order, just like that, or similar. There we go. All right, so that makes sense. It's a mini expansion. The Doom Track mini expansion changes the way players lose their sanity. The rules from losing sanity in section 7-3 are ignored and replaced with the following. Start the game with the Doom Track marker on the first spot. At the end of a round, all players that do not survive the ritual lose sanity markers equal to the current spot on the Doom Track marker. After players lose their sanity markers and before starting the next round, advance the Doom. I like that one better, actually, than the number of players. You lose sanity equal to the number of players that survived. I like the track better. That one seems a little bit more challenging. And this one is a little bit more easier because you're just replacing the player count with that. Yeah. Yeah, I would prefer that if I were playing. 3 and 4 players rule. Although this game is best with 5 or more players, it can be played and enjoyed with 3 or 4 players. It's just that you gotta have dummy players. Each dummy player is dealt a card face up in front of them. Dummy player may never receive a card. Yeah, you see, this is why I don't like these minimum 3 player games where you need a minimum of 3 players, because then you gotta compensate for. So this is really a game designed for 5 to 7 players, naturally, in natural design. So, and they knew that they're not going to get, that people are not going to get 5 players. And so they had to create dummy players. And so, yeah, that's never good. That's never good, quite honestly. So that's Arkham Ritual. That is Arkham Ritual. Very interesting, but it's a party game. It's really designed for parties, and when you have a lot of guests, and especially if you do Halloween parties. Let me put Cthulhu up here. Put Cthulhu up at the top. Here he is. So yeah, this is all it's good for is for big parties. This is not something, or you got like a very good large gathering. I wouldn't attempt 3 or 4 players. If you got to use 2 or 1 dummy players to compensate the number, to compensate the minimum 5 needed in order to enjoy the game. Just save it for when you actually do have a large party, especially around Halloween, and round up 5 people right then and there. Get 5 people in on it. There we go. All right, so I don't even know why I'm doing all this now. This was Arkham Ritual. Definitely a party game. So it looks fun. It looks like it does look like a fun game. So with all that said, I wish you all a good night, a buenas noches, and oyasumi nasai.